Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the 15th episode of the Melee Stats podcast, starring me, SaveAsUntitled.
Me, Edwin Budding.
And I'm guest starring. My name is Jackzilla, the Destroyer.
Mr. Destroyer, for people who might not know you from your background and from commentary, could you give them a little, brief blurb about who you are and what you've done?
Yeah, I started off in the Indiana scene as a student at Indiana University. Helped found the Smash Club there, and the tournament series Full Bloom is I'm a big part of that. And then in the past couple years, I've been dipping my toe and trying out. Now I think they're pretty wet at this point, pretty pruny. At commentary, done a lot of events for that. And I sell pink hoodies once a year. So that's my job.
Cool.
Yeah. So I want to mention another thing.
And
Sorry, go on.
I'm a patron.
Yeah, so Jack is a special guest of ours because he's a patron. And you can find the Melee Stats Patreon in the chat or in the description of this video. And I just wanted to thank you, Jack, personally, for supporting Melee Stats and also showing up on the show when we needed you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm always available.
And also for the people who may or listening to the audio version and may not see the topics coming up, during the end of our show, we will have Prog joining us for a little bit of a Q&A and kind of interview kind of thing. So just to give you a heads up, we do have 4 people this week, but Prog's coming in the end of the show. But with that, Edwin, would you want to start us off with our usual weekend recap? I'll get it right sometime.
Yeah, that sounds very good. So for starters, let's talk about Runback 2018. So this was the big Arizona regional. Arizona, obviously known for flying in players differently each month, mostly to face against Axe for most of them. But I want to talk about the performance of one person in particular, and I want to talk about it in a way that is genuine and not meme-filled, and actually pretty indicative of his year so far, and that's Westballz. Mm-hmm. So Westballz, I think, had the most Westballz performance ever. And if you guys don't know why, you can check out my column. But the long story short is he suffered an early loss in round robin pools, which is not a good format, but forget about that for a second. He loses to I Love Bagels in pools, Arizona, locally ranked player, locally ranked Luigi. Then he tears through losers, even defeating Captain Face Roll and beating Duck pretty convincingly, which is no easy task if you play Spacies. And then when all the signs are set for a possible Westballz losers run, he DQs and loses quarters against SFAT because he doesn't play well. So, I mean, take from this tournament from West, it's both great. It's not losing to I Love Bagels and getting sent early to losers by Shroomed isn't great either. But beating Duck and Face Roll, those are great wins. And I feel like those are things that people forget that West tends to have. He's a good player.
I think I have a couple thoughts. I think Duck is a little. This is going to sound more of an insult than I think it is. I think Duck historically slumps in the middle of the year. He usually starts and ends well, at least based on last year. And there have been a couple other examples sort of similar. Westballz has a winning record on Duck.
Yeah, he's won 3 of their last 4 sets.
Yeah, so I don't think that's I mean, that's good because he's not just completely dropping off the face of the earth, but it's not the same. And then Face Roll, I don't know where you guys are putting Face Roll, so I guess that one depends on his larger context. But I always see Face Roll as an upper trajectory, but he's still not at a place where I'd even expect a top 30, above ranked 20 Westballz to not be able to 3-0 him.
Yeah, that's definitely a fair point. And West historically is very positive on Face Roll, so I guess that doesn't really show us anything. But if you look at his potential,
really everything you said, I disagree with.
So you don't think it's a change for? I don't think it's a change.
I think it was a really bad day. I think he did a good job in getting as far as he did, but I place a huge value on finishing the day, and it's DQs to me that are the same as the assumption that I make in my head is if he had shown up, he would. I know he tweeted that he would have beat SFAT, but I don't see the logic of that. Then why didn't you beat Westballz? Oh, I didn't feel like it. Well, then you would have lost, right? You can't just not feel like beating someone and then do it. At least most of the time. And I think SFAT was playing really, really well at this tournament. So I'm not buying it. And I think Westballz is a little bit like being bashed, probably disproportionate, but it's been a pretty bad year. And the thing about the year that's bad isn't the results, it's the way that he's gotten those results has seemed really, really choppy. There's something off this year, and it kind of is laying the doomsday path unless something changes real quick.
So I actually really disagree with that, and I think for the most part, if you look at Wes's records across people in his skill range, like the 12 to 25-ish, like it's actually a lot better than a lot of his contemporaries. The main thing that just,
but his contemporaries are top 10 players, right?
Well, his contemporaries were
supposed to be.
Yeah.
His contemporaries were top 10 players in like 2015, but
right,
we're not getting that same Wes.
Yeah.
Right. So what you're saying is every year he's going to slip just slowly enough that he won't be underperforming, but he still will be slipping. Just isn't as drastic as a fall or quick as fall as people are saying.
So I think that's definitely one way to look at it. But the more I've sort of looked at Wes's resume and sort of how he's relevant, I think it's really impressive that he's still top 15 after so many people have talked about him falling off or having random losses. I think that the biggest thing that I would cite as a worrying concern for Wes is that the god-slaying potential he used to have in terms of, beating Mango multiple times or even looking capable of defeating Leffen, that's completely disappeared, at least with Leffen. With Mango, that still remains a question mark. I don't know how he's going to do against him next time they play. I think if Wes can get a Mango win, again, like if they face off this year, that'll be really big for reestablishing faith in him, especially in the Fox matchup where I think he's very much I don't want to say been figured out, but he's no longer like the fox slaying force that he used to be.
Edwin, you'd probably be able to give me a good answer for this. What in like Westballz like bigger history of playing? Did he used to have as many of these like weird, really bad losses like he's had over the last couple of years?
So when Wes started getting good initially, and when I say good, I mean like top 20-ish or even top 10, he would dominate a lot of SoCal and then have a lot of shaky national performances. And I can think of one in particular off the top of my head. In early 2014, actually lost a Strict 9, a New Jersey / Tri-State Falco in Falco Dittos, which is like weirdly something that Wes has lost more than you'd think, because in the past he said it's his favorite matchup. But yeah, he sometimes just, this year he's done pretty well at regionals. Like he did well at Nudes, double eliminating Wizard, which is definitely like what we already perceive as his feeling, but still really good considering.
But who is the King Momo also has had like good sets versus Wizard this year, right?
Right, but he hasn't beaten him. Like that's not the.
No, but King Momo is like somewhere in the 80s, right? 70s.
Right. I mean, I don't think that Wizard is particularly like amazing. I just think that Wes being able to beat a top 10 player or go positive on him is still like an encouraging sign, but it's not an encouraging sign. Yeah. It's not an encouraging sign if you're expecting demigod Wes, if that's his ceiling. But it's an encouraging sign if you think, okay, well, Wes can still compete with top 10, with a few of the bottom end top 10 players. Like even looking at some of his losses around people in his skill range, they're not losses that you would be shocked at or be like, oh my God, Wes has gotten worse. If you look at him, it's like, yeah, like losing to Luna, like Luna's not had a pretty bad year, but like sometimes he does really well against Spaceys. Losing to Zain, I can't really hold that too much against Wes. But like being positive on SFAT, I think is really important and very good. It's just like sometimes the regional stinkers like Flat Iron, losing to Commaster, losing to Spark, not too surprising because Wes has lost him before, but like losing to Commaster is not good. And it doesn't count for the ranking period, but like I think losing to Ralph, no offense to Ralph, but like if you're Westballz, you gotta losing to Ralph and Caesar at Bigger Balk, even Bigger Balk, those are not good losses.
And this might be more indicative of the larger Melee activity than of Westballz, but in 2017, by this point in the year, he had attended about 10 more tournaments, at least according to SSB Wiki, that were like notable, at least in size or because they were majors. So like, it's kind of I was about to give him credit and basically be like, well, Wes is doing, people are creating this negative perception, but he's actually attending a lot of events, which he does. But it might be, that attending a lot of events means that you're going to have higher variance in the worst things that we remember and the best things we remember. But then I like looked at the comparison in last year, and he's actually less active. So I don't know what to make of that. But I don't know. I'm super. I'm not like one of the like Westballz is not top 30 doomsdayers.
I think that's really stupid.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I think if people have him out of the top 20, that's kind of hating on him a little much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I could see him if he had like a disastrous last half of the year. He's not going to be saved by the first half of the year results.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is like
I think at
he
worst
sometimes saves himself.
I think at worst, like if Duck or Pew started doing really well, or Ryan started like really heating up and got like a really big win or something, it would look a little more problematic for Wes. But for right now, like there's still something to be said about. I have the Oven stats in front of me. Shout out to Oven. But like he's 2-0 on SFAT, 2-1 on Wizrobe, 2-2 on Lucky, a 1-0 on SJ. They haven't played much this year, but 8-5 on Hugs, 7-4 on Army, 1-0 on Rhineford. Like, yeah, a lot of these names are SoCal, so you do kind of have to take it with a grain of salt because he's played those guys a lot. But those are still like really impressive victories, and to go positive.
Is he like the anti-Chudat?
You know, like even if you look historically, like he's had stretches where he's had bad nationals but done really well at regional or local.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough to say what to bring to him, but I think
like
Jack
the inverse 2017 Chudat. It's weird.
So Jack, I think you would agree that like he's definitely top 20 in your mind, right? Like he still has the potential enough and consistency against his field.
I promise when I look at the other 19, the other 20 people, both of you have, there isn't one person who I would put money on Westballz over them. Not one.
You wouldn't put him
really.
You wouldn't put him over SFAT in the head-to-head.
Actually, maybe Hugs.
I mean, I just literally
that's one matchup.
I literally listed people that he's been positive on within that range. You know, like I'd bet on him versus SFAT.
But I think that like record does matter, but to me it's the trend of the actual gameplay itself, and I think the gameplay has still had the moments of brilliance you expect, but it feels like a deterioration to me. It feels like this sometimes happens in sports and in statistics where there are changes happening to a player that aren't picked up in the numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like the foundations are slowly being picked apart, and like the building is still up. Yeah. Maybe a couple floors are a little shaky, and it could be that it repairs. Mm-hmm. I don't want to. I like Wes. I think he could put it together, but I feel like the foundation is being eroded for a lot of reasons. Primarily in the gameplay itself, not getting updated enough, and him not when he has the moments when he like gets up to the meta, it's usually like on a very short fuse. He doesn't seem to have the patience for it.
As much as it got memed, that's actually was the thesis of the Westballz hasn't gotten worse video. It's not that that's like
you got memed on.
Yeah, if everyone ignores the fact that was a positive-ish video on Westballz, like it was basically saying that he hasn't caught up, and I didn't name any like specific like in-game stuff, but he's not keeping up with everyone else who's adapting and improving. He's just kind of stagnating. And
I will say, I think even though the better defense from players today, specifically Fox players who can now that when you get shot by Westballz, it's not an instant like 60% or death combo. Like I think the better defense is kind of nerfed Wes a little bit in that matchup. Like even the second tier Foxes like KJH will ruthlessly shine out of shield any unsafe shield pressure, and they're a lot more disciplined now. But I think Wes has made improvements in his gameplay. I think he's using lasers a lot more often. I know that's one thing that a lot of his fans have asked him to do a lot more. And weirdly enough, like when I watched Wes against Duck, I thought to myself, like, Wes is very good at playing campy. And obviously he has if you talk to top players,
campy Falco.
If you talk to top players, they'll say like, yeah, Wes crouches, he uses fadeaway back airs or back airs in face. Like he actually does play very defensive. Yeah. I think he's really good at it. It's just like he randomly will have these moments where he abandons that game plan, or like he doesn't do it. He messes up once and dies or something, and then gets tilted for the rest of the set, and just like
And it could be that I'm like a very big. I'm really really into like when I'm predicting or figuring out who I want to put money on. I really do value mentality, and I think in Melee there are very 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 few players that have even semi-decent mentality, so it's not usually relevant, but it matters.
Maybe. Okay, so as much as I like,
maybe.
well, I'm saying maybe because
He's saying
as
maybe
much as
has
I
a
would
good. The Peach
no,
has
I'm
a great
saying maybe
mentality.
because as much as I would like to talk,
That's
we can talk.
Statement.
We can talk about the other aspects of Runback, like Axe winning. Do we have anything to make of that? Beating Shroomed, S2J, SFAT. Is it kind of just what we expect from Axe, or is it?
It reminded me of Full Bloom 2. It gave me a
Alright.
flashback. It did because at Full Bloom 2, Lucky
Wait a moment, isn't that the one where Lucky went down?
Lucky went down 6 or 5-0 because he had beaten him in winners side, and then Axe destroyed him
I remember that
three stock. The first set, and then the second set he destroyed him the first 2 games,
and then Lucky turned the corner.
Lucky turned the corner and made and every game after that was really close, and he won. And so to me, it kind of reminded me of that, where it's like a smallish tournament, like in its early iterations, and it's like Fox versus Axe, and like you kind of think Axe is the favorite, but there's just something about the way that Fox is playing. I loved how SFAT was playing it. SFAT, like he just was the man with the plan. And sometimes obviously Axe still gets you. That's the reason he's a good player. You can have a plan, you can understand Pikachu and still lose. But I just never felt like SFAT was rattled, and I think that's why he kind of put up such a fight as he did. Even when he sometimes would go down like 2 stocks really quickly, he was like, "It's okay. I know what I'm doing. I can bring it back." At least within the games. So I was really happy with SFAT's play at the tournament, but Axe, deserved it.
So I want to ask you something.
Oh boy.
Axe, Zain, who do you think is better right now? Not in the head-to-head. I think head-to-head, all of us agree Axe has the clear advantage. But just by that, right now, who do you think is the better player? And then follow up to that, who do you think will end up higher on a list by the end of the year? Jack, you can start this.
It's tough.
I think Zain being I think Zain's style is easier to be consistent on, and I think he'll have a better I could see Zain getting upset more than Axe, which is a weird thing to say, but I think because he has gotten upset even at Gamal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think Zain's upper limit is higher right now. I think his game plan versus Hungrybox is way more promising than Axe's gameplay versus Hungrybox. Same thing with Plup and Armada and Leffen. I think they're both kind of evenish in my head versus Mango, with maybe Zain being slightly better, and I think Axe is better versus Mewtwo King. Although Zain took him to Game 5 right at Summit, and that looked decent. So it's just I would probably give it to Zain.
Mm-hmm.
But Axe is Axe.
I was originally thinking going Axe as well, but I just thinking about it of versus the top 6, who do I expect more to win against each person? And Zain has proven it this year that he can beat a decent amount of them. Where
he might collapse like a dying star.
Yeah,
he might just be fake. But
we'll
see.
The safe bet is probably Axe, but I think right now, as of what we've seen recently, I think Zain is the answer. What do you think, Edwin?
Right now, just because I'm conservative to make any specific changes to my list and just the general hierarchy of Melee,
I still
have Axe slightly ahead, but I definitely we talked about this in Melee stats for a little bit, but I definitely think the value of a win on Axe doesn't mean as much as it used to in the past.
Agree.
I agree, but I would give an upset on Axe versus an upset on Zain around similar weight right now. So that's fair.
Yeah, I think Zain, he might lose a Marth. He's looked a lot better than Marth Ditto lately. He might lose a Marth Ditto. Falcon matchup, he seems to be hot and cold in.
And I just always go back to the fact that Axe went to Game 3 with Millhouse at Super Smash.
Yeah,
I'm that's
it's
wrong.
Axe also. It's kind of scary for me if he plays. Or not for me, but if you're rooting for Axe, it's scary if he plays like a Swedish Delight in bracket. Ginger's beating him. Ginger is a good player, but Axe for someone who's top 10, that's still not. That's not great for demigod standards to be losing to top 40 to 50ish.
Yeah. And now I always give it the benefit of the doubt. One of the big mistakes that was made last year, I think, and this is always goes back to that the hindsight bias and people not actually analyzing gameplay and analyzing just results, but like Mango getting bashed for losing to Chudat, and then Chudat went on a tear the first half of the year. It's like, so Mango wasn't actually that bad the whole time. Like, he made bad gameplay mistakes, but it was clear that they were gameplay mistakes and that he was like at or above Chudat's level, but Chudat was also performing at a top 10 level. So heaven forbid he loses to the 7th or 8th best player a couple times. Like, that's normal for Mango's career. And I think the same thing could be happening, or I wondered if the same thing was happening with Ginger versus Axe. I was like, is Ginger the Ascendant Falco? Is Ginger going to be putting in results all year, and we're going to look back at this loss?
Not yet.
No.
And no, so that's really bad for Axe, because it's like Ginger has had a decent year, but did not come through enough to lift Axe on that sailboat with him. IMO. But that's obviously just one little example. Axe has had decent stuff too.
Yeah, I guess this segues into ranking talk, but even just I can tell you guys on my ballot, I actually had Ginger fairly low. Yeah, and like this is no disrespect to Ginger, who I think is a very talented player. He puts a ton of work, goes to a lot of tournaments, but like for reference, I had him closer with someone like Rocky, with someone like IBDW. Like I had him above Rocky, but just like looking at their resume, Ginger just has a plethora of cumulative losses that on their own are not like to bad players, but just cumulatively speaking, like all of them together paint this picture.
You gotta be careful about cumulative for sure. It's a big risk.
Yeah, because then it's like those aren't just fluke losses. It's like you can actually kind of like qualitatively, like I see in his gameplay, I think he's reminds me of like a player that's got like a B+ in every category. Like, okay, he goes into each matchup with like a pretty good game plan. He's very safe. Yeah. He's mostly a good decision maker.
Back versus Fendy after Fendy 3-stopped him.
Yeah, like he just lays
combo breaker.
He just.
Yeah. That analysis, it reminds me of a Twitch comment I once saw on one of my.
That's not a good. That's not.
No.
I'm already doubting.
It was Jackzilla is so consistently mediocre at everything that it's hard to pick out one thing I like the least about him.
So I don't want to go that far
That's
with.
lit.
I definitely don't want to go that far with Ginger. I do not think player. I think that is a bad analogy, but Jack is a patron, so it's actually a good analogy.
That's right. Jackzilla is the destroyer.
But yeah, just in general, I honestly I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but maybe a break from this would be good for him because the talent is all there. But in general, I feel like there's a perception of him in like the upper 30s range, like around say Rishi, IBDW, Smuckers, like even Junebug, like Cal, and when you get to the middle, like Kalamazoo. But I think Ginger is far closer to the mid 40s.
What was Kobol's big win? I remember him having a good tournament.
He beat Wizrobe. Now, granted, that's not like anything new historically. Like Kobol, just like you look at his career records, he's amazing.
Are Kobol's lows lower than Ginger? I thought that they were.
I think they both have really bad losses.
Kobol's definitely had a lot of suspect losses, but his overall records are pretty good.
This is Sussery. This is deep Sussery.
Really good Momocon performance as well.
I won't have Florida biases in my lists.
Oh my god. Yeah, Cobol also having a win on Mod this year as well.
So Jack, you're saying you wanted to quote unquote destroy our list. Do you see anything now? I have it up for like the audience.
So I started when I turned to your thing and I was like, I looked over and I said, okay, what's your list? And I was like, oh, immediately. So SaveAsUntitled. Has Plup ever won a legitimate grand finals? This year?
We've talked about this on the.
Well, I'm talking about it again. Only achievement he has is going to Pokemon Stadium twice without anybody catching him.
He's beaten H-Box a few times. Give him credit.
He's beaten him in one set. That's fine. So is Amsa.
Yeah, let me pull up. I want to say something about
he beat Armada in one set.
His winning records against the top 6. I think he's winning records against everyone except Hungrybox. But I want to double check that real quick.
Also, I want to say that H-Box's dumbass letting him go to Pokemon Stadium twice. That's on H-Box.
No, it's not.
I'm definitely gonna.
I can't in good faith support the Mueller investigation and give Plup credit for Genesis 5.
I definitely think that's a good point to bring his win in perspective when talking about him versus Hungrybox. I'm not gonna hold that against him for winning an event.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because I think Armada's second at Summit was more impressive than Plup's first at Genesis.
I mean, I had Armada. I had Armada's ahead of
You're
Plup
right.
because of his 3-0 record against HBox, which I valued. But I don't think having between Plup and Armada, I don't think it's like substantive enough to
So
say
Save
that
as
one.
Untitled.
Yeah, no.
Dead on arrival.
No, losing.
You got it wrong at number 2.
Armada's got a losing. He's only got a winning record in the head-to-head against Hungrybox in the top 6, whereas Plup
and everybody else, it's 1-1 or 1-2.
It is 1-2 against Mewtwo King, 2-4 against Leffen, 0-1 against Mango, 3-0 against Hungrybox, and then Plup is 4-7 against Hungrybox, 1-0 against Mango, 3-0 against Mewtwo King, 0-1 against Leffen. So his only losing record is the person he's only played one set against.
I don't like that. I want to see some W's. He
beats Hungrybox. Who else is beating Hungrybox besides Armada?
That's what we're talking about, though. Armada versus Plup.
But Armada's an inactive player, so I can't put him as number 2.
When Armada plays Hungrybox, he looks so good, baby.
Yeah, he does.
So
but
good.
if he runs into Mewtwo King, he's not going to get there. Or if he runs into Leffen, he's not going to get there.
Okay, I want to just say, so I had.
I could see Plup ending at number 2. I
see Armada at 3 as well. I
had Armada second, but I would be very wary of reading too much into a 1-2 record on Mewtwo King for this year, when long-term trends, including like the last year, have shown Armada to be.
That's right.
Like I would put that more as a point in Mewtwo King's favor than really hold it against Armada. But either way, it's like between number 2 and number 3. Like I don't think this is substantive enough to.
This is the most, but the jump between 2 and 3 is more important than like I don't care if you mess up the ordering in like 32 in the 30s and 40s. It's just tiers, right?
You're being a nitpicker, dude.
I'm the destroyer. You know the best way to destroy? People think it's like being Godzilla and stomping on all your dreams. The best way to destroy is to turn you against each other. Edwin, you were right. And you shouldn't back down. If Save as Untitled pushes you on this point...
Save and I have already talked about like ranking. We both used very... I think that one thing I will say on a serious note...
my ranking.
One thing I'll say on a serious note is that I think Save tends to... I think Save, what I've seen from your videos and just in general is that you approach it more on the report card side. So you want to reward the players that have done well.
Wait. Okay. What is this list?
Wait, what is going on?
Is this your top 10?
Where's this top?
No, like look in the list next to what Jack is typing in.
Oh, Hungrybox, Mango.
This is an abomination.
None at 6. I'm down.
But
at 7. Sick.
But Edwin, I do agree with what you're saying that I like the look at like if the player that put up these results like copy and pasted these results for the entire period, what would they do? That's more how I look at it.
Yeah, and I mean that's fine. That's definitely like one way of I don't think right. I think like as long as you're consistent to the report card formula, like I think that's fine. I try to mix both like a mix of report card type evaluating and trying to see which results are meaningfully predictive. I understand that kind of opens up a lot of subjective areas.
If I had Armada and Plup at a tournament, I'd see Armada above it because he's still the most consistent man in the world, right?
Yeah, I think I'd seed Armada higher, but I think Plup's report.
Then what are you doing?
It's two different rankings and seedings are two totally different things.
Nah.
Seedings are nah. I can't argue with that argument. That's pretty good.
He also gave us $5 each month.
Can I walk you through my rankings?
I really want to.
I want to hear. Yeah.
Let's hear it, dude. Hungrybox number 1, Mango number 2. This you got to get the Hungrybox. Leffen number 3, I think.
You gotta get the
Wizrobe is number 4. I think Wizrobe's first of all, Wizrobe is the first person besides Armada to double eliminate Hungrybox in like a long time.
Yeah,
incredible.
That Arena win is like,
incredible.
Yeah. So people talk. So there were a few that might have had Wizrobe at like 8 or something, but I think the sheer value of double eliminating Box at the same event and winning the event over him. Like, especially from losers, like, that's so valuable. If he
gets a winning record on any other god, I'm putting him above them. I'm putting him a slot up. Like, he is so close to just breaking in for me. Anyways,
Edwin, what was it? Was DreamHack something or other in 2016? Was Mango was the last person to beat Hungrybox from Losers?
Lost in 2016. Mango beat him 8 from Losers.
So anyways,
That's
Hungrybox,
insane.
Mango, Leffen, Wizard, then SFAT, None, S2J, Amsa, Duck, Hugs. I gotta put
You can't like casually
Zain,
scroll after you're
Absent
missing
Page,
some gods
Shroom,
in there.
QQU, Rick, Ginger, Kalamazoo, KJH, and then I have I do have Westballz in my top 20. He makes it in at 19. Then Swedish Delight, then Lod, then Michael, 41 billion, then Crush, 2 Saint, La
Is this a
Luna.
2000 and is this a 2020?
And then after that, I think that I think Crush's like upper end is really, really high, and then HT beat him when he was playing at that godlike level. So I put HT at 26.
Ooh.
And then
yeah, but the thing is, we're Sharks then on the
Axe,
2023
Gatsu,
or
K-Pan.
or
He didn't attend any relevant events, so he's not on it. Then Chudat.
Oh, Chudat in the top
Lucky,
50. That's a little.
Well, Chudat probably kept beating over Triforce.
Purely for
moved on
aesthetic
to another
reasons.
region.
Then King Momo, as we talked about, King Momo, pretty good versus Wizrobe.
Yeah, true.
Sticking in Reeve, Heartstrings, Blade Wise at 38, Homemade Waffles.
Think of the $5, Edwin. Don't say anything. Let him go.
39, Maybe, and then my boy Dreffin. Then we got NW. He was very loud. Ryan Ford, Fishy, Grandma's Got Game, who defeated Cal in a really
Oh, you're
cool
gonna say
upset.
someone else. Okay.
And then a Bait, Bobby Frizz,
Yeah.
Mike Hayes,
Mm-hmm.
Captain Face Roll. And after that, it's irrelevant.
Well, you forgot about Edwin Budding when he rose to the top of
that's
New England Dash Dance.
way down here.
Yeah. So that's my list. I'll post it in the chat real quick.
Yeah, I don't see anything factually incorrect here. Well, maybe Chew in the top 50, but besides that, everything else here seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes Hungrybox just clutches it out. And you gotta give him credit.
Yeah.
Definitely the $5. I mean, the legitimacy of this list is definitely unquestionable. So, speed round. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, if you guys don't know it, the Melee Stat Speed Round is a segment that I run where I ask a brief flurry of questions, and the panel, which right now is just Jack and Save, have a minute to answer each question. And at the end of the round, the person with the most amount of points for the best answers wins. So without further ado, why don't we get started? You guys ready?
You say that again?
All right.
Patience wearing the $5 are wearing thin, Jack. You gotta get to the 9.
This money, I don't even know if it's processed yet. You might not have seen $1.
All right. Let's get started. Better Midwest series, The Big House or Smash and Splash? Go.
Big House. Series is different.
So it's Big House or Smash and Splash?
Yeah.
Well, I think we talked about this in a speed round before. I think Smash and Splash.
Is this a lightning round or a talk about it
No,
round?
you're supposed to explain it. But I like Smash and Splash more because if you get drunk at it, there's more of an excuse because it's a water park. But Big House, you actually have to play well and try. Like, what's the point of that?
I think Big House as a series is heavily carried by 3, 4, 5, 6, which were in a hotel. I think Smash and Splash emulates that VOD very quickly, but I have personal problems with Smash and Splash. It's got some hurtful memories. But I think actually for attendees nowadays, Smash and Splash is probably the more fun event. So,
okay, I'm gonna give this point to Save. All right, next question. Westballz or Lucky moving?
Yes.
Westballz or Lucky
Maybe
moving?
listen to the rules, homie.
I asked him to say it again.
Westballz or Lucky moving forward? Go.
Lucky. Back up your boy, Stave. Back him up.
What?
You gotta
explain why you were gonna
Why
pick
Lucky?
Yeah.
Because Lucky is better than Westballz this year. He just is crushing
Sick
it.
reasoning.
Hell yeah.
I'd also go with
Westballz,
Lucky.
You made a video about why Westballz is falling out of the meta. Did you make a video about Lucky? You could have picked any player in the world, and you picked Westballz as the guy to look out for being bad.
Well, so I also think Lucky is a better player. I had him at 12th on my list because of Godwin's really good. And Westballz has been inconsistent moving forward. And I think some might say he has gotten worse, but I think he's just stagnated.
I also think the foundations of Westballz play are eroding, as we talked about earlier on the podcast. Westballz dropping out the last tournament is the height of sussery. You have to vote against this man.
I agree.
Jack, your answer was alpha as fuck. I'm giving you the point there. All right, guys. What year does Melee lose Evo?
How many games did Mr. Wiz said we're going to have next year? Because I think we're already going to lose it because they'll have Brawl, Project M, Smash 4, maybe Ultimate. So probably next year because we need too many games.
The only threat to Melee at Evo is
Slap City.
now. The problem with assuming Melee is going to be out of Evo is like you have to just do the strict cost-benefit analysis. And as long as Melee is rocking the numbers it's rocking, and Melee players functionally cannot play other games, we'll be okay. The problem is that Slap City is swinging in, possibly Icons swinging in because they've got the big bucks from like Green Day or whatever. Linkin Park, I think, is sponsoring them. This is not a joke. Linkin Park
Seriously?
is sponsoring Icons. Yes. So they've got that Linkin Park money. So the combined powers of the Linkin Park pop bonus and Slap City's raw charm could give Mr. Wizard the excuse to finally execute Melee. I think that our days are numbered. We have at most
all right, guys, I need an answer
5 years.
for specific. So your specific year is 2023.
No, I have to make it an even number. 2022.
And I'll say 2019, they won't be at Evo, brought to you by Linkin Park.
Okay, Jack gets the point for this.
Yeah.
All right, what's better? Top 64 to 8 on day 3, or splitting or just having top 8 in one day with no top 64 into it on day 3?
What kind of event? 4 day, 3 day, 2 day, 1 day?
A super major 3 day.
A super major 3 day. Are there other events besides Melee? Like, would we do a series of top 8s?
Just think of this in vacuum, so interpret it however you want.
There are no vacuums. Vacuums are myth. I'm a Swiffer guy till I die.
Looks like I'm going to get this point because you're being too much of a nitpick.
No, I'm not. No, this is actually a question we asked ourselves for Full Bloom Broadcasting, is how much of the full bracket do we want to have on even day 2 of a 2-day tournament? Do we want to do 48 to 1? Do we want to do 32 to 1? I'm in favor of, on a 3-day tournament, you leave top 8. You give the broadcast room to breathe and to build on itself. Hopefully you have doubles top 8 in there too, and don't split up. I don't like it when you have Melee top 8 or doubles top 8 and then Smash 4 doubles top 8 and then Melee top 8 again. I don't like breaking it up. I think in the ideal scenario where you have Wii U doubles top 8, then Wii U top 8, and then Melee doubles top 8, Melee top 8, you create this build throughout the day. That's really
okay.
Really cool.
Edwin, you said 64 to 8 one day and then 8 different day, or like all of 64 in one day, or the two options?
all of 64 in one day on day 3, or just top 8.
I would say all of 64 in one day because I get more stats that individual day before I have to tune out, before I get disappointed for Hungrybox winning.
Yeah. You aren't going to get those sets because you're going to have to split the stream and they're going to have to not stream a bunch of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what crazy math you're doing.
Okay, I'm giving the point to Jack. All right. So what will it take for Wizzy to surpass Mewtwo in 2018?
I already mentioned this. I think Wizrobe has the double win over Hungrybox, which is an incredible lifetime achievement. He needs to get a positive record on another god, and Mewtwo King needs to surpass Mewtwo King. That's different. He would need to have more positive records on one other god. If he had positive records on Hungrybox and Armada, I would put Wizrobe above.
Mm-hmm. I think all it's going to take is Mewtwo King being pretty good at Smash Ultimate and there being more money there, and then Mewtwo King will just focus on that instead. Wizrobe's got an easy road.
Off topic.
Okay.
This is about Melee.
I'm giving the point to Save there, but Jack was already up 3 to 1. So congratulations, Jack. You have won the Melee Stats speed round.
As
3 to
in my
3.
Melee play, no matter how dominant I am over the opponent, I still bring it to last stock, last hit somehow.
Jack, per Melee stats speed round 3, you get a minute to talk about whatever you want. So I'll put the timer on and you can get started with it. All right, just tell me when you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
You motherfucker.
You're really gonna do this? God, you're so lucky. No, mute him.
Where is he going?
Oh, never mind. I thought he was
Okay.
gonna play the piano.
Like, I thought the worst section of today's podcast was going to be for the audio listeners, where he's listing just names of people for like a good minute. But I think this might be worse.
No. Oh God, he's gonna.
What does
just
he have?
mute-
Is he a
I know
prop
what
comic?
He's gonna do. No, he's gonna play the.
This is the future of Melee.
All right, that's my minute.
All right. Yeah. That's it. You are very lucky that you are a patron.
Yeah,
So lucky that I'm giving you my money. What kind of job do you have?
All right. So we got like.
This is why America.
No,
is in
please,
crisis.
no!
America is divided.
No!
I'm getting yelled at by our patron on
The
here.
makers and the
What?
takers in this country.
We're getting close to the breaking point. Bring
All
in
right,
Prog.
Jack.
We need the positivity.
Wait, Jack, I want to ask you one more question because we got about 4 minutes until 9 p.m. So,
Uh-huh.
Jack, you are the Lord of Melee for one day. You have decisions over gameplay rules. You have decisions over the actual structure of the community. But actually, you only have one decision. So what is it? What is the one decision you make that alters the future of the Melee community forever?
This is tough. This is actually a deep question. The first thing that comes to my mind is, does Daddy Nintendo come home? Does Nintendo release Melee HD? Unchanged, just updated. But we can use HD TVs. There's some kind of like net play system. And would that be enough? Or would the question be, do I want Nintendo to play kind of a Riot Games or a Valve kind of role or a Blizzard kind of role and centralize the scene? I think that would fix a lot of the things I really detest about the scene and how our kind of anarchist setup can leave people behind, leave people not included. But it's really hard to answer that, because the minute you start opening those Pandora's boxes, you're creating hypotheticals, and I don't think I could handle that power responsibly. So I would just say delete Puff from the game.
Just delete. She's banned.
Gone. No, not banned. Deleted. I don't want anybody to ever remember that she existed.
I wonder how that would change the meta. Would it really? I feel like Puff is such an oddball.
There actually is like this mathematical meta simulator that if you plug in like win rates, it'll spit out what the different metas are. And I think Falco becomes the best without Puff in that like mathematical reading of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, the only like problem matchups I can think of as far as like Falco players and typically what they struggle with would be like Peach, maybe Ices, and like Samus, I guess. Like all the rest of them seem pretty like Falco.
Yeah.
The Falcos are.
All right, I've thought about it more in my head, and I think I know that wouldn't work either. Everything comes back to money to me, to like the behind the scenes TOing struggle and like the lack of resources to have us actually like show off. I think Melee is the best viewer experience game there is. I think I can show my parents Melee, and they understand it faster than any other game you could stick on.
You
Twitch,
really think so?
It's
I don't
hitting
know if I agree with that.
hitting Mario off the stage, and then if
Yeah.
you can't come back, you get hurt. Now it is fast, and that's tough, but it's visually clean. I think we have good voices to represent the game and explain it and hold people's hand through it. It's just like all the time. Anytime I'm trying to think of what would make Melee better, it comes back to how do we get more people in a situation where they can love our game. And I think that answer it's really hard. That's why I make videos. That's why I do research, because if it was easy, then we would have done it probably.
Yep.
Okay, so that's a good note to end on. And now we will have our much fated interview segment with Prog, Winton Prog Smith, coming on.
Now that
the
I
show.
have destroyed the podcast, he will breathe life into it.
He will resurrect it like Melee was resurrected in 2013. One might say.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, Prog. What's going on?
Not much, not much. How are y'all?
Doing well. You enjoying the show?
I didn't expect,
Dude, what did you expect? We're bard players. We love music.
Prog's talked with me enough about music to know about my taste, but enough about me and enough about music. Let's talk Prog. Prog, what you been up to?
Oh, that's a very, very good question. So, of course, there was many curveballs at you, so I think like last time anyone really heard from me in Melee, I was probably still living in Richmond, Virginia, not too far from Papa Paint. Currently in, not too far away, in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned to me before that you were working at a non-profit. Is that right, if I remember correctly?
Yep.
Are you still
working there, video production.
Cool. So you're still kind of using like journalism type skills and everything, right?
Yeah, it's primarily, continuing on the editing experience, but again, kind of weird how everything comes full circle. I started learning how to edit because of a combo video for my trash documentary.
Prog, I still
10 years later doing it full time.
I still want to thank you for one of my favorite combo videos. I think it's particularly the Money Mike Payday. I think is.
Ooh, that's the actual I didn't edit that.
Oh, that wasn't you?
No, I was just the uploader on that one.
Oh, never mind. I take all of that back. No,
Are you still a fan?
No, Payday's sick. So the last time, like, I remember you sort of being like a public figure in Smash. I remember even after your retirement at Evo 2014, I want to say, you showed up to Super Nebs. You commentated the Falcon round robin there. You were
that was myself and Home Waffles. Yep.
Yeah, and you showed up on stage at the Battle of Five Gods. A kind of strange event, just overall as a whole, and looking back at events of 2016 and
actually
Melee history.
I know my camera's on right now, but behind me I have a poster, but they had the wall scroll that they had for the players. I have that, so a little piece of Melee memorabilia right behind me.
Cool. So what? I think was it after Five Gods that you started doing for about a year or so?
Actually, you cut out there, so I couldn't hear you.
Was it after Five Gods where you started spending more of your Smash time on Last Stock Legends?
Let's see. So I think we first originally started filming our interview at Evo 2015, maybe? I think 2015 was when we first started filming.
Right. Okay, that's a lot earlier than I remembered it. Because that was really big when it came out. You, Brent, I think even Taffo was part of the executive producer team, if I'm not mistaken. You guys had some great videos and pretty inspiring. And I think it's especially relevant because it came out like not too far off after the Smash documentary where everyone was talking about the history of the scene, its greatest players. So what was that process like, sort of keeping the taste of history fresh in the Smash community discourse? Like, sort of what were the storylines you personally wanted to see, and what was it like for you as a guy leading that charge again?
I guess, and after the documentary came out, everyone's kind of fallen, and no problem with that at all. But I guess, if you're an active player at the time, or even just someone who was doing it at the time, everyone's going to have their favorite matches, their favorite sets, their favorite moments, because it's one thing to watch a set. It's a completely different thing to be there watching it live. So a lot of those memories, a lot of things that I was there for, things that I remember waiting for uploads for on Smashboard, things like that. I wanted to kind of bring back a bit of that experience to people, try and show that element and those sets and those portions of history. I also kind of started out as I'd say a lot of dumb luck, to be honest. Papa Paint and I, we have a bit of a history. We were on the same video game message board of all places, and I think I actually ended up introducing him to Gimmer. Zoo actually, who of course I know for years, introduced me to the guy who would be our director of photography. By one of his friends, and we heard from various people who wanted to be involved with the project and heard good things about them. So it kind of was just a labor of love, and it's kind of cool looking back at a lot of things that we put out, and also I guess even talking about the series itself, kind of it being self-referential, especially the Bach episode, I'll say, before I kind of drop off on this one. But Bach kind of talks about losing his passion and things like that. It's something that I think every content creator deals with at some point or another, where it's like it's so difficult when you're trying to balance all of your needs. Also, you want to make something great, but your budget is non-existent, and it's frustrating at times. But things together, it reminds you why you do it.
So I guess if you don't mind me getting to the point, can you pinpoint a turning point it was for you when you kind of realized that you couldn't dedicate your full or the attention that it deserved, or that you felt that you needed to give it in order to put out what you want?
What, in terms of also?
Just in terms of being able to commit yourself to Stock Legends and just generally Smash storytelling.
I guess Smash in general would be definitely 2014. As for the storytelling aspect, I'd say probably around. I'd say probably at some point last year. When it was just we have all this footage, we have a couple of interviews that we had started on for season 2, and just like are we going to be able to make everything add up? And when you're stressing about that, you kind of have to distance yourself to stay sane and work on the project. So it is kind of interesting. I will say that a couple of weeks I've been talking with Papa, like catching up, just because we haven't been talking as much as we used to previously. We would see each other in person a couple times a week now. Each other.
I didn't catch who you were talking. Are you talking about D1?
Oh, Papa Paint.
Oh, Papa Paint. Right. Okay. Sorry.
So at some point, we kind of started talking again fairly recently, and I asked him out of the blue, do you have this interview that we did? It just felt like, of course I'm editing full time, but it's kind of weird being up at 2 a.m. and editing for Smash and being completely fine with it. So I'm not saying that's a commitment to new LSL stuff soon, but I'd say it's a good thing that I'm in a pretty good place with the community and everything, that I'm able to look at that footage and trying to put into something a bit more practical.
What do you miss most about being a more active community leader in Smash?
Honest answer, I really don't know if there's much about it. 2018 Prog, a far cry from 2015 Prog, let alone 2013, 2008, 2010. I definitely love, going to events now and seeing some of the old guard, people I grew up with, some of my closest friends, I consider family. I know that when I go to an event now, I feel kind of like I feel out of place now. The scene has gotten so much younger, and it's changed remarkably. It's just that I think it's one thing that also points out that I'm kind of I don't say past my prime, but I'm definitely not as active. Not feeling like I'm as much of a necessity around as which is completely fine. I just completely fine. I just really miss hanging out with people. I miss primarily, if anything, being a player. I miss going to Smash Fest and having that competitive drive for the one tournament that would happen that week, or those 2 or 3 weeks, and things like that. I miss that drive. I miss the drive of trying to band together a local community, be better than the individual pieces that we were, and to showcase some of those parts of the world. That's what I miss the most.
What do you miss the least then about being involved?
Stress. The stress of travel. Like it's especially 5 years after a week ago being the shutdown. I remember being at work the entire day and then coming home, or being on the way home and then hearing about that. And it's just like the next 2 or 3 hours, I'm just stressed out about this entire thing because we made it so far, now we're getting shut down. Whereas now, I'm completely hands off in the community. I'll be a viewer, I'll be a spectator, I'll be a fan, I'll do some content creation, give some advice here and there. But overall, I'm much more. My role is much more.
Is there anything that you wish you could have done differently as far as being part of decisions that the community made long term, or a certain direction that you feel that you may have helped, or basically, is there anything major that you wish you had done differently as far as long term consequences for the community, or in terms of the direction it set out in?
I guess on a personal level, in terms of commentary, being from that era, starting out in 2010, in terms of commentary, where things were a lot more Wild West, I definitely have some things I said in commentary back then. However, at the same time, I am, I guess, proud of who I've become since then. A lot of things I said were definitely rooted in my own internal struggle and trying to figure out who I was. And fortunately, since then, I've come into that place, and I've been able to be a much better person and ally to a lot of different groups in the community. I think that's one of my biggest barriers. Like even kind of jumping off of that, I guess trying to help out and understand people that are doing the change of language that was used in the community on, and even just in terms of Smash vernacular in general, back in 2012, 2013, early parts of MION, Milk Tea had great ideas and great things, and she's one of my best friends, and I didn't quite get it immediately. I wish that I had jumped on board earlier, because the stuff that she had brought up is genius, and I wish that we had implemented it earlier. Are following suit in those things as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely one of the turning points for the scene, right? As far as cultural attitudes and what was acceptable for language versus what eventually became, revealed was not okay, because I feel like the community collectively was so much younger back then in terms of where its community leaders were too. So
of course, yeah. We were all, MIOM at that point, 2012, 2013. I think myself and Scar were the old folks in the group, so we were both in mid-20s at that point, and we were both kind of realizing that Smash is kind of at this weird turn point, and was trying to change the culture a bit for the next generation coming in.
Yeah, and I mean, the Smash community still has a lot to work when it comes with being more inclusive, and I think especially given sort of the bigger spotlight on us, it sometimes frankly starts to shine an underbelly that's still kind of something that we're not proud of, both just in terms of our history and sentiments that still exist in the scene. So I think it's definitely important to acknowledge that, like, there's still a lot of progress that needs to be meaningfully made, not just in cultural attitudes, but how we actually enforce what we're supposed to be standing for. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, doing things like that, I probably know a bit more about things like that than a lot of people in the scene even remember. But it's never easy. But when you look at what the potential is, you want someone to stand up for you at some point down the line. You have to be willing to stand up for others as well.
Okay. On a lighter note, what do you hold in your mind as your favorite tournament?
Man,
this can be a No John's local. It can be it can be a super major. Just what do you, if you had to pick one, gun to your head, what do you go with?
See, it's going to be different because there's going to be a lot of different answers depending on what it meant to I guess the Prog of that era. Prog as a player will have a different answer than Prog as a commentator, Prog as a fan, so on and so forth. To me, as a player, it has to be. As a player, it has to be ROM 1.
Good shit.
What? Are you serious? ROM 1?
Good shit.
ROM 1 was ROM 1. I thought was ran so badly. Didn't they have to? They had to redo the seating, like
it's not about that. During that era, tournaments were expected to run poorly. A lot of the things that are basic decorum and basic implementations now were. They were good ideas at the time, but it wasn't a must-have. But in terms of as a player, being in those pools, it's like, okay, I'm in a pool, my first round pool, okay, PK. So I'm guessing like 10% of the chat even knows that maybe at this point, if that. But HBK was probably one of the top marked players in Jersey at the time. I'd say probably right behind MTK at the point, maybe even. Tech Zero might be in there as well, mentioned.
Shout out to Tech Zero for beating Leffen at Apex, I think. He was a good player in Tri-State.
Yeah, Tech Zero, definitely underrated. One of the definite forgotten heroes, forgotten top players of his time period. Amazing human being. I think he just finished up his doctorate, if I recall. But as a player, how can you go from like Tri-State locals that Scar is running, that Chibo and M2K, Pac-Man, Cactuar. Occasionally you have Montreal come down, so Kage, V-Wing, PK and Vodka, Europhoria.
God, I know. I'm so sad. I know these names. They feel so because those guys are still like active.
Yeah, and a lot of those players. I think it's kind of interesting. Kind of wonder where players, if things had developed differently. I think my biggest what if question, as something I talked with Paul Payne about, would be the two biggest. Well, I'd say the biggest one for me is over Triforce. This is someone who's huge on the come up, but is still doing great things. All of a sudden, still coming to big events in United States. Spain has their financial crisis, and a lot of people fall victim. And of course, he wasn't able to travel for a while after that. What would he have developed into if he had kept up with those opportunities? And so it's a great what if, and it also shows that Melee isn't just in the game. You have to think about everyone, what's going on outside of it too.
About like AMSA around 2007 or 2006, the Dutch Sheik. I feel like he was so good, man. He could have but the 4-stock comeback on Eck, who is then
PK,
yeah, Is it EK or Ek? I've heard two different things, and I've never gotten a clear answer on.
I've heard EK.
Okay, well, he beat him, and he was before Armada. Amsa, still playing active Dutch Sheik, was the best European player for a while, and I always wonder how he'd do. I want to ask you something because I think you were around back then, but can you just who was the player that, like, in your mind completely blew your perception of the skill gap in Melee? I think I have an idea for what your answer might be, but I want to hear what comes to mind for you.
Shiz,
really?
Shiz, no question.
I thought you were gonna go before that and say like Bomb Soldiers.
I guess for me, I'm thinking as a player, of course, Meet King, he's in Tri-State. Oh, Meet King, you want to come to No John's real quick? Get some money real quick, yeah. You're going to run to Meet King, you're going to run to Aiden, you're going to run to J-Man, Hacks, PC, Van, Scar, Cactuar, so on and so forth. But, going to, I think it might have been like Apex 2010 maybe, and playing him in a money map. And he just, I remember, turned on the extra gear so quickly. And it was, at that point, I played against Manga. I played against basically the who's who of Melee. But, when you're talking about Shiz in that prime era, talking about his speed, you're talking about, the kind of overwhelming offense of the time and the lack of defensive options and exploration of the era, this was just... You don't run into many people like Shiz in that era. Even, playing against Chop, who, is one of my mentors. Yeah.
Beer man now, for people who don't know.
Yeah. But, yeah, Chop's, still very, very similar stylistically. But, if Chops was, like, someone walking around with, like, 2 samurai swords in broad daylight, this is just, the old statue of, Ganesh with, like, 6 arms and a sword in each. Like, you just feel like you're going to just get destroyed no matter what you do. And it's such a exhilarating feeling because in your mind that's attainable, but you also know how far away you are from it. Kind of, it sets you up like, I got to keep doing this. I want to see how good I can get.
Who is in terms of just being community leader, or at least in terms of being a member of the community, who is the first to as either a mentor or just someone you admired that made you want to get involved in Smash a lot more?
Alucard, no question. Again, we're talking about a long bygone when, weeklies weren't a thing. But, yeah, of course, being in New York, having that option so close, where all that competition would come into play. Because, a local to us back then was, 45-minute drive, or actually probably closer to an hour, to get to No John. So it was, 2.5 hours to Philadelphia for a Spock tournament, or, one of the Toons tournament. Shouts to Strict 9, and, of course, ladies of Daniel Logan by the way. So, shout to the whole Toons. But, yeah, definitely Alucard, just because of what he did for the New York scene, especially for that Bronx crew, and how good, he was with working with Scar, working with Edwin, working to kind of help unite and bring great things to the Northeast, especially in that turbulent time when afterthought.
Was there anyone you particularly modeled yourself after later when you started being involved that way?
I don't know, man. It's been such like a... Even when I was commentary now, I kind of think of things from different perspectives. What is Prog commentator like for the player? And, there's always going to be a bunch of influence. I definitely say, Wife is probably one of the biggest people who, when I think of voices of Smash, Wife is one of the first that comes to mind. Outside of Smash, huge fan of James Chen, Ultra David, of course, Seth, Yipes, that whole crew, learning from the FGC guys, how they pace things. And even now in this modern era, especially as they're kind of going through similar growing pains that we went through in terms of kind of figuring out this balance between keeping their soul and kind of growing into this esports pool. I'd say that they've definitely done a fantastic job of being able to marry the two sides without losing themselves in the process.
Yeah, that's definitely true, especially with the FG. I think a lot of the FGC guys like Yipes, they've done the I don't want to say transition to esports, but they're able to be like more broader public facing while still retaining the heart of the passion that's behind their game.
Oh yeah, like those guys, I'd say that's my biggest lesson to a lot of commentators out there, is that they're able to mostly from event to event, from style to style. And I'd say, that kind of versatility is what makes them extremely special as commentators, but it's also a big thing about what makes those games so approachable as a spectator. If these people are excited about it, if they're being able to throw out frame data, the technical parts of the match, while also telling you the story and telling you why these matches matter, it's a no-brainer why people are getting involved and definitely wanting to see more of that action.
What is your favorite set in Melee history, if you had to pick one?
Oh, man. Throwing out the hard balls today, huh?
Yeah, man.
This
is a historian grilling the last historian. I gotta know your answers.
Favorite one.
I'm just letting you know there's one correct answer.
Plato and Socrates.
It's such a difficult question.
It's
Prog
not
the player, Prog the commentator.
It's not Chris Best versus Net 1 2 3 3 4 or whatever.
Yeah, we're not talking about any other set.
It's not that.
In terms of, I'll put it this way: if there's one set that I'd say defines the best part and the best parts of the Melee scene, it's got to be Grand Finals Olympics 2015.
Mm-hmm.
With the first set or second set?
Both.
Okay, fair enough.
It's can't take them out in a vacuum. That entire weekend after Trash and after everything went horribly, once again, 3 a.m. in the morning, somehow Melee is, and it's one of the most historic sets in the game's history. Still, I think, one of the most technically sound in terms of just the mental breakdown and precision, how deep in thought those guys were. It's that set, and then a close second, Mango, Armada, and LG.
Yes.
Okay. My answer would have been Mango versus our first Genesis. The first set of Grand Finals, I think, was incredible because it basically took my rationale would have been that it was two characters that people previously didn't think were that good like a year and a half ago that had suddenly been represented at the top level, with those two as our game's greatest players, as they still are currently today, in terms of all-time rank, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'll always hold a crucial part of my heart. I don't think anything exists beyond Genesis 1, or if it does exist, it takes some more time to develop. But one thing that I look at with other games is that international presence, and one thing that Melee is lacking is kind of how do we foster international presence. You look at games like Street Fighter, and they have their world tour basically. They have Virgin scenes all over Europe. They're constantly being supported in terms of viewership, in terms of event. And I see the Melee scene and Smash in general still playing catch up with a lot of that. But I definitely think that having strong international presence on American soil at that era, especially after all the months and actually at that point probably years, this hobby in comparison to PC. What would happen? How good is Captain Jack in this era? But from Europe, I still think that was huge. And what it grew into, there's nothing like it. That's probably one of the building blocks of Melee. Period.
So Prog, you talk about Prog the player a lot. I'm glad you brought that up. But just to clarify, you played Captain Falcon when you were active, right?
Not really. Falcon kind
Oh,
of.
never mind.
Falcon was kind of a side project. Primarily Falco, and I would always counterpick myself with Doc. But Falcon was more so, I don't feel like tech skills there today. I'm able to practice, or I'm retired at this point. Let's just play some I enjoy. So Falcon was kind of a bit.
Okay, I thought you were a Falcon. I don't know why I thought you were a Falcon main. It's probably because.
Well, like I guess a lot of matches that I personally remember. Of course, because of my own failures in them, it was like, okay, I'm not feeling the. So like I was set against myself and Animal. Shouts to even beyond that, shouts to my home scene from Long Island. Of course, the era of Scientology. But when it was myself and then Armada and Aeolus, I'm playing Falcon that set, and I make one. It still haunts me to this day as a player all these years.
So, I guess with that out of the way, who are your 5 favorite players?
Actually, that one's not too bad. 5 favorite players. Number 1 is going to be S1E15. A lot of people are still active. A lot of people don't know too much about him. But I was first getting into the scene. There were basically not too many Doc players that I have a ton of footage of. You had Caveman, of course you had Bob Money, and then in Japan you had some footage of Captain Jack, but S pushing Doc at the time.
So S Royale, just to make sure you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, you're cutting out a little bit in your audio, so I just want
to. Yeah, I'm still using the same mic. But yeah, S Royale was definitely one of my biggest influences, and I met him for the first time. I think I met him for the first time last year, Evil, actually. And I was just like mind blown because, again, it's 7, 8, however many years later, we finally meet, and I'm fanboying out to a player that no one in that era really knows who they are. To me, this is an extremely special moment. Number 2 is going to be Mango, of course. Number 3, I guess I'm going to put the pairing is going to be Armada, just because Armada is always how I feel. And I'd say at this point especially, Leftin can be out in that conversation as well. Aspects of Mewtwo King and of course Rishi, Plup, kind of all add to the same kind of mantra. But Armada is kind of the way that you want to play Melee. If you are someone who's aspiring to be superb, if you're aspiring to be a top player, Armada is the person you kind of model the whole European style where there aren't too many wasted movements. How he just, like orange juice, he just squeezes every drop out. There's no pull whatsoever. That's what I admire the most about him. And how precise and how he is. And even beyond that, I think a lot of people don't give Armada his proper credit for growing Melee just as from that seat of the top player. A big part of the reason why Smash in general is from Armada and what he was doing back then for pushing the community. So Armada, definitely one of the most influential and just best human beings in the Smash community. And then Mango, if Armada's the way it should play Melee, Mango's the way. it's that flash, it's that style, it's that breath. He has like a confidence in his play, and it's so. You're wondering, why does it work? And you're kind of jealous that he could mold it into that. And I'd say for that, Mango was originally one of my favorite players. Because in an era when everything's used, he still provides enough of his own true style, his own play, that makes him extremely entertaining to watch. Number 4. Number 4 is Mr. Spectre. In that era when, it was Sound Spectre versus and Scar is my boy. Scar and I've known Scar for 10 years at this point. Blowing my mind to say. But East Coast loves Scar, West Coast love Sound Spectre. And even me, who was primarily playing a lot of Falcon at the time, a lot of Falcon players had to silence because everyone wanted to be as kind of same way as everyone wanted to be. So he's definitely one of those players. And the last one's going to be pretty simple. It's going to be the Doctor. We haven't seen a lot of them recently. Talk to PPMD's just overall story for the game is it's storybook. He's kind of like that Steph Curry-esque style, or Steph Curry-esque rise, where a lot of people said he might have some potential, but when things started going, you can argue definitely for both of them that they are the best in the world at that era. I still think a lot of his ideas, a lot of stuff that he played and tried to put out there as Falco hasn't really looked into, but that's just PP style in general. He's someone who is a true student. He's someone who has watched videos from all kinds of eras all over the world and taken aspects from it that he likes and doesn't mold into his game. And I think that alone is just what makes him. Whereas a lot of people will just try and maximize themselves in that, or they'll follow one or two prototypes. He just wanted to be a biggest cornucopia of everything. One of the best players that this game is ever going to see, period.
So you said S Royale, Mango, Armada, PPMD. Am I missing anyone else you said?
Sound Spectre.
Sound Spectre. Okay. S Royale kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. I can't front, but that's definitely a unique pick for I guess Doc reasons. I like it.
I mean, it's I'd say I could have gone with of course Bob Martin as well, but I already have some just entire DVR crew by the way. As odd of a pick as he is, he was to young me, so I don't forget that.
That's definitely legit. That's he's definitely a cool figure to look at. What do you
Sorry, I'm gonna give you number 7 is also going to be AMSA. You have to figure out which is which now.
Oh, AMSA. So you said number 7 is who was number 6?
Number 6 is AMSA.
Oh, number 6, Japanese AMSA.
I don't know. I love both of them. AMSA from Europe. One of my, weirdly enough, one of the coolest people in the scene that I kind of met out. Same birthday, and then of course, 5 years after his Evo 2013. In terms of why I love AMSA, of course, Red Yoshi. A lot of people I feel like in terms of sponsors, and I don't know what it is, but they just start to waver. I'm not sure if they feel like they have to work as hard, or if the pressures are getting to them. But his joy and love for the game, and just his entire approach to it, even in this era, I think it's something that's extremely admirable. He's, I think, one of the best role models in terms of just mindset and how to approach a game and reminding that it is a game and you should have fun with it. You should enjoy your experience. I think that there's no one better for that than him. And it doesn't help that, he's being successful with such a rare character.
So,
That's it.
so Prog, then I'll go into the next top 5 that I want you to.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Top 5 combo videos of all time.
Ooh,
Go.
okay.
But here's the
Number-
twist: you can't name any of the ones you made.
Oh, that's fine. Like, I wouldn't name any of my combo videos in my top 5 at all.
Not even. Oh, did you make WTF hacks, or is
Yeah.
that someone? Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah.
one I always see a lot of people bring up.
Like, even, I guess in terms of just, the old videos I used to do, I'd say I was a lot more proud of doing the old game theory videos and the old hype videos for tournaments more so. Just because, combo videos, I used to always want to put together, I always wanted to be a storyteller, I guess, in Smash. I got those old hype reels for upcoming events. But top 5 combo,
I can think of one immediately off the top of my head, but if you can't, I'll give you a hint. If you can't say the name of the combo video, you can just replace the word with esports.
oh, I know which ones you're talking about.
Because that's my number. Esports ×2 is probably my favorite in terms of
Like
just,
consent times 2.
yeah, consent ×2. It's probably my favorite because of just just the crazy combos, the amazing editing. It's so indicative of that era of just sick gameplay.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still, I'll definitely say that those Norwalk crew definitely influenced a lot of things that I tried to steal from them. So, even like the reverse hitting forward tilt on the illusion coverage,
Yeah, it was
trying
so
to go
sick.
for those way too often back. And then I realized that was just going to be more sound spec and grab them out of it. But yeah, number 1 is going to be Silence. Sorry, Scar.
He's
number
not
2.
gonna forget that.
Number 2 will, however, be I Killed. A little bit of lore with that. I Killed Mufasa 2. The actual video itself primarily features my old doubles partner, Can I Smash. I went to college with him at Temple University, a couple years younger than me. We went to a lot of NC's team together, and he basically just got bodied for the entirety of it. But I got bodied as well. But fortunately, a lot of my footage, the actual video, made the trailer. And a lot of people don't know that I'm primarily the one getting bodied in that trailer. So yeah, check out the trailer for I Killed Mufasa 2. See young Prog get destroyed. So I Killed Mufasa 2. Kaze no Kizu. I'm not a Marth player, but
That's an old school Marth combo video.
yeah, that's one that I would definitely toss out there. I can't remember the name of the video, but it is a forward. The song on it is Outside, To Forgive and To Forget. It's like this sick drum and bass track that's violin led, and forward again being one of my favorite. Another person who kind of has dived from Melee into other fighting aspects. And another Falco player that people don't talk about too much anymore. But again, just a really, really dope player. And
Can you say who you're talking about for number 3? The audience, people in the audience.
Number 3, sorry, was Forward. I don't remember the name of the video. I just remember that it was the backing song was Outside. Yeah, Forward from Arizona.
Let me see if I can find it. Forward B?
Possibly. But yeah, he's definitely up there as well. Number 4, probably Esports ×2. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, there we go.
it's going to be in there somewhere. And one more. It's it's going to be a draw between the crews of the era. It's going to be Nubs and what the Chilean players did in terms of flashiness and the editing.
So crazy. Dude.
DBR with like this Wu-Tang style aspect where each player has their own flavor. So I will always DBR's videos because those got me. They made me want to take that extra step. But Nubs is also in the conversation for being. You thought you'd seen it all, and then you have. So.
Chroma was on the show last week, and he mentioned that he had a theory that Arike Nubs actually temporarily killed the because it was just so sick.
Oh yeah, I would definitely agree with that. No one really wanted to put on. I'd say with a lot of videos, of course, in the era, just because again, defensive options weren't as fleshed out as they are now. But people would always ask, these have to set up and things like that. Maybe
they were like smash DIing in like for so many like up and in for.
Oh yeah, but I mean also that was kind of the era. We don't talk about West Coast and East Coast DI as much anymore because everyone's DI is basically impeccable because everyone's so situationally aware and knows the best option in situations at this point. But at that point, people were getting probably like that regular players and things like that. So if you estimate these players may have been maybe top 100 of the era, if players are foolish enough to DI into it, which is very, very. I mean, I would have been one of those players who made bracket and DI'd in. So upset at it.
I don't really have anything else to ask you. Then you answered most of my questions.
See, this is why I was expecting this from you. I thought you.
You thought I what?
I thought you were going to ask me to pick a side. I have. Fentric Lamar lives, 5 minutes from me. What team is Prog on?
I already know.
Talk about it.
You gotta be Team Fendy. He's from your home. He's from your home right now. You can't hate on. You can't pick Scar over that, dude. Old school bonds don't stop regional bonds.
See, but as much as I'm in this, 3 or 4 months, I still haven't seen him in person.
Oh.
So I'm on Team Scientology.
No.
Oh my God. That's not a good look.
Hey, you
I mean,
want to put
honestly,
money on it?
honestly, I really don't have a course in this either way. I think that I don't know how much Scar plays anymore, but I know that he's doing a great job, being a family man with the marriage with the kid, and I think that that's always going to be a victory that it's far more crucial.
Jack, are you Team Fendy or Team Scar?
I'm Team Fendy.
All right, I'm Team Fendy as well.
Scar made me get him coffee. Fendy has written checks for me. That's an easy choice.
Save, are you Team Fendy also?
Yeah, Team Fendy. I think it's pretty clear.
All right, just know that if you pick Team Scar, you won't be welcome.
I guess I'm not welcome then. So I guess someone has to.
No.
Sorry, but like I said, I've known.
Yeah, you have to go with Scar. You have to go with Scar. That was a weird regional argument you put on him, Edwin. I think you go with whoever you were friends with for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, again, Scar used to run the Spock tournaments on Drexel's campus, and again, back before smartphones, I wish I had one back then, because, dude, if I recorded the Mango versus Hack set back, this was during the Mango when he was beating everyone with their own characters, and it just was not a pretty set. However, that actually, I guess, sidebar, since I didn't do any doubles matches, one of my favorite doubles matches took place in that same tournament. I don't remember who it was, but it was definitely Scar and Hack's team against maybe J-Man and Tag, maybe?
Who was J-Man's partner playing?
I'm pretty sure it was Tag. A lot of people don't know Tag. Tag was a New York player, young first. He was part of the Salvo crew representing Brooklyn, New York. Extremely talented player. Basically, didn't stick around prominence. But man, that kid, he was ridiculous for a really, really short period. I think that's also one of the interesting parts of Melee. You have a lot of players who were just forgotten about. We talk about Texas. I don't think J-Man is considered as forgotten, but he's not as widely in psyche as he definitely deserves to be. But yeah, Tag was so. If you haven't seen that set, I'm pretty sure it's Pac-Man's or Mogwai's channel, maybe even Cactuar's. I don't remember who recorded it. But it is one of the most exhilarating doubles sets in Melee history, just because of one of the commentaries was I can't remember his name, but he was fully crew member, completely chained, definitely pre-esports era, and the quotables in there are so serious. It's one of my favorite sets in terms of commentary alone. In terms of just how teams are feeding off each other, it's definitely one of the most entertaining sets of that. And I think Hacks had one of the most ridiculous Captain Falcon combos, of course, at the time. There's a double knee back-to-back combo, which was just disgusting. I'm getting goosebumps from the set right now. Good times. Good times.
I still remember when I watched my first live Melee tournament, and it was Apex 2013, and I think you and D1 were both on the mic together, and Javi versus Hacks, and you said something like "Welcome back, Hacks," when Hacks hit this just.
He's on the map.
Yeah,
that was my second doggy sandwich. That's the doggy.
Mm-hmm. That was the doggy sandwich, but I think you commentated with, if I'm not mistaken. I could be confusing that with another tournament from 2013, though.
Possibly. I don't know. Honestly, a lot of these tournaments now.
And I remember just watching that long ago and how that got me into Smash. And I mean, I'm not a notable community leader or whatever right now, but I just want to thank you for appearing on my show, but also appearing on our show, but also just in general, thanks for everything you've done for the scene, and thanks for just talking about your life with us and tailing us in tales of Smash history.
No problem.
I really appreciate it, and we really appreciate it.
I mean, it's kind of weird. I really don't talk about Melee too much anymore. I'll kind of lurk in major chats and things like that. But it is kind of nostalgic. So thank you all for the opportunity. And if y'all ever want to talk about more Melee, always looking forward.
Yeah, Prog, you'll definitely be hearing a lot from me in the upcoming weeks as I complain about writing about Smash for 150 pages and not burning out.
Well, I mean, if you need additional perspectives, get into about people.
Yeah, we can also just talk about Porcupine Tree and how I. But...
Actually, serendipity is. Yesterday, I tweeted about. I was listening to. Not even early, but I was listening to Dream Theater just to get into kind of that old young Prog mood, that 2010, 2009 Prog mindset.
You listen to some Images in the Words, Awake, Octavarium.
Well, it was definitely a change of seasons. But
change of season? All right, that's a good pick too.
I need 24 minutes. But this morning I was checking my mail and I completely forgot. Haven't talked a lot about Smash FGC and the Divide and different events and things like that. But East Coast Throwdown is an event that goes down. And they actually have, of all places, Roadrunner Records as one of their sponsors for the event. They sent me actually a tote bag today and Dream Theater's newest release on vinyl.
Okay, I think I caught the last. You were talking about Dream Theater final.
Yeah, they sent me about that.
Okay, the last part still cut out.
I give up.
That's all right. We were talking about Dream Theater. We both like Dream Theater. Okay, Jack and Save, do you guys have any questions you want to Prog?
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to you this entire time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Nothing, fellas? Really?
Edwin covered a lot, yeah.
I'll meet you at Evo. We'll have a conversation.
I want a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see Prog.
Talking about
I'll
Fendy
probably
and
see you
stuff.
at Evo as well. I'm going to 3 majors next month, so
Okay.
Bless.
Yeah.
see you
Next
at one of
one.
them.
Next month might be old Prog for a bit. I'll be at Evo in the March tournament, which I'm pretty excited about. Ready to go 0-2. I probably will be checking out SmashCon for a day or so, just because it's local, and I haven't seen some folks in a while. I won't see everyone at Evo. And then randomly, I might be at Pokemon World. See.
I do want to talk to you at some point about Bard. I have like 400k mastery points on Bard, and I'd love to trade Bard man tips.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm about to check my mastery right now. I've
no.
been playing a lot of Pike recently, though. So then
He's melee Bard, dude.
No.
he's more fun Bard. He's definitely. Well, he's not more fun Bard, but he's more fun Thresh.
I hate League Talk because it makes me want to start playing again. It's
No,
awful.
don't do it.
It's so awful.
You can refuse. Like I listen to people.
No,
I've been sober, so.
It's a fun game. It's a fun game, but I think if you're in a toxic mentality about it and you're just playing it because you feel like you have to, then you should stop playing.
No, it just feels like I put so much time into it, and then I just want to play more and more, and then it's too much of a time sink for me that I get nothing done.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
Is there any chance of a Prog net play stream coming up anytime?
Oh.
No. I'm a traditional.
Okay,
played Melee
that's fair.
actually a couple of weeks ago. In months, like previous to that, for the first time since I started playing Melee, I can honestly say I don't remember the last time I played Melee before. And it was horrible. Like the brain is still there, but the completely long gone.
I really want to play you, Prog.
You're just gonna be beating up an old. Like you need to.
No, not Fendy, like Scar. This is not a call out. I mean, when we playing games, talking.
No, that's what I mean, man. Okay, I mean that's fine.
I want to play you, Edwin, but like as a call out.
I'm down, dude. I'll put 10, 20, 50.
I saw you get like placed at some tournament nearby, and I was like, oh wait, I can make money if Edwin's on there.
We'll play, dude. I'll put money however much you want.
I've never put any money on Melee in my life. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You gotta put money up. You gotta put money up at some point.
I actually can now. It just used to be that I was too poor, and I cannot back this up.
Well, that's why you gotta do it that way anyway. That makes
Yeah.
even.
I'll see you at a Smashing Grounds or New Game Plus, maybe. Maybe my mom if I'm driving up.
More of a dad guy.
All right, I think that's a good note to end the show on. All right, thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you, Prog, for coming on.
Anytime.